This story is improvised by Jesse T. William and Tucker Patterson. It contains themes of abuse and sometimes intense depictions of violence. The story does not seek to glorify violence. Even a couple of buildings into the city, still wafting off of the docks, is the smell of the ocean air and all that it brings with it. Whether it be strange smells from distant lands or smell of crab come from Bellon and Fimmel. The streets of Little Bay are both dirtier and cleaner than you're used to. They are better constructed and there is more maintenance to them. There is not any part of the streets that are like dirt, as there might be amongst the cobbles of Fimmel, or just the like gravel of Bellon. You see that there is a lot more.
Did you catch that? I'm so sorry. The sound of my Dr. Pepper.
You got it. Hey, sponsored. Folks,
Dr.
get the pepper.
Please reach out.
What was I saying? So the streets much more packed as well, with a larger array of people, both Fulian and otherwise. You see as well a common style amongst the people, humans in particular, hats. Big hat people, these humans. It's very much that kind of like Renaissance vibe of like, oh, it's a wide brim hat with like a feather in it or something, like very like musketeer-esque, like you know this style. You see two things, or rather three things that you are, what the fuck was that? Weird bird. Oh, hello. So my window it's chaos right now.
We're so focused today. We're so on our shit today.
What's that bird doing?
Lock in, Jesse. Lock in.
Lock it in.
Focus.
Speaking of birds, I do think to use that as a back end, the bird that you had seen in the dream, you do see a few of them just sitting on the tops of buildings. You see as well. Sorry, my mind is now just like exploring the city itself. The buildings are of like better and more rigid make, with that like grayish blue wood that comes from Fulia on the red leaf trees. But as well, they are like typically like a story or two taller than the one-story buildings that you find commonly in the two places you're familiar with. You see the things that you are not used to seeing. Number one being safeguard. Actual, like an organized force. You see that there is like some kind of person who has like taken a fall down some steps and has clearly broken something, and they are being treated by two individuals in white and light blues, which are like the colors of the safeguard, like lightly armored and being taken care of. You also see here there are members of the Legion who are less active. Like you see the safeguard are like going around, like checking with people, and like very seldom do you see them not in conversation. But the Legion tends to be isolated in their pairs, standing just watch rather. And you see that they have little elements of like a red sash or like a red cloth, sometimes belt, sometimes like, you know that, I think it's like a Japanese thing of like the pot bricks and you mend it with gold or something. It's like that on some parts of their armor, but with like a very distinct like Fulian red. It's like different from the tone that you had seen on the White Knight, and also different in style. Where that was like marbling and this is like that mending thing. And you also see for the first time members of the Arcane Order. You see as well, typically in pairs, in hats, very musketeer-like, kind of like well-postured, tight kind of clothing, kind of poncho-like cloaks with typically like either a rapier or kind of like some kind of book at their side. As you are in this very overwhelming place, what is Cesarine doing?
I think Cesarine, first of all, I think he's feeling a little bitter about just about everything he witnesses. We've entered I'm young and I have a chip on my shoulder. I'm jaded territory. However, I think like with everything else, he kind of knows why, but I think that when he sees Safeguard, it makes him feel better, and he hasn't figured out why yet. Because he's stupid. However, he wants to find shoes. He's going to go look for anywhere that he thinks he might be able to acquire shoes. And if he doesn't feel like there's somewhere he can buy shoes, he's very heavily considering walking up to someone and going, how much would I have to give you to buy your shoes off of you right now?
Most notably that Cesarine right now, things he has on him. Small pouch of silver given from the captain. Pants. Mm-hmm. Shirt too big for him.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
You see...
Also kind of dirty now.
Yeah, also kind of dirty now. Dirty and sweaty and not nice. Make an intuit check for me. So again, that's a d20 and a d4 for you. I believe your two skills are charm and intuit.
Okay, 17 and 2, 19.
Wonderful. You do see a cobbler. I think at this point probably in a market square. You see that amongst like many market stands and colorful canopies, there are also shops around that are given a little bit of space, more permanent installations, and you see that there is a cobbler amongst them.
I'm gonna go to that cobbler.
Wonderful. As you enter the door, it is a wooden door with kind of like a latticed kind of window, no glass. At least on the door, I should say. I imagine like a small glass window on the front, but it's a rather dark space, a very dark kind of dull space. It smells like aged leather as you enter. As you enter as well, the door opens and rings a little bell, and you see that there is a shuffle from behind a counter. And then see an elderly dwarven man kind of come around. You see that he has his hand kind of like on the counter, very thick old hands. His skin is like a dark amethyst with, I think, inclusions is the word. Or occlusions, I don't know. But his wrinkles look like the imperfections in amethyst. I'm not gonna commit to the word. You see his eyes are glazed over, and he will say, "Hello? Is somebody coming for some shoes?"
Yes, I am coming for some shoes.
Okay, one moment. And you see he grabs a very long stick that is perhaps like around 7 feet long, and kind of like move it around the counter. And you see that amongst the walls, or along all the walls, are kind of like Harry Potter wand shop style, just like boxes and boxes of shoes. And you see he holds out the stick kind of in the middle of the room. You're at the door, and I don't think it threatens to poke you or anything from where he is holding it, but it's definitely notable that he's like taking up a lot of space in the room with this stick. You see that it just kind of like sits there waiting in the room for a couple of moments before it begins to like move back and forth, and then moves to just one of the boxes on the walls, and he goes, "Sillities," and will lay the stick down on the ground and then kind of like waddle over to the box. You see that there is a kind of bench on the opposite side of the room, and you see he says, "Go ahead, sit down please for me. Take off your current shoes if you don't mind."
So Lorraine's gonna go sit down. He just sits there with his wet feet.
You see that he will open the box and bring 2 shoes over and will say, now I do need to feel your feet if you do not mind to see what dimensions there are so I can make these adjustments to these shoes.
Okay.
You see he'll kind of put the 2 shoes down, and they do look like about the size of your feet. But you see he will wave the hand around before like landing on your leg and go, oop, and then kind of go down feet and put both of his hands on each of your individual feet for a moment. Like really just like thumbs kind of pressing in a bunch of places. It's an odd experience. Is Cesarine doing or saying anything as his feet are being felt?
I think he is just staring blankly at like, it would be like above this guy's, just like whatever is above this guy's head, like across the wall. He's just kind of like staring blankly at nothing, feeling like, you know, of all the things that have happened recently, I guess this might as well happen. You know, like this might as well occur.
You see, he finishes feeling up your dogs, and he will say, "All right, well, I should be able to get these shoes maybe within 4 hours. I have some other things I'm working on. So if this is good for you, then maybe come back in such time."
Yeah, I can. I'll come back in that time. Hey, how much is this going to be?
For a pair of shoes, 4 copper.
All right, cool. I'll be back then in 4 hours. Thank you so much. What was your name again?
Oh, my name is Brul.
Okay, nice to meet you. I'm Cesarine. I'll see you later.
Cesarine. Okay, I'll write this down. Just give me your name when you come back. Well, I won't write it down, but I will. Never mind. And you see, he will kind of take the shoes and waddle around the back of the counter again and just disappear. You do hear a door open. And yeah, what is Cesarine got to do next? You also have a shirt that's maybe too big.
Yeah, I think he's going to start trying to maybe like locate a place that might sell some better fitting clothes. I think he's just also generally looking around as he, you know, like he's kind of got in mind like that, you know, he'll kind of get these things settled, but then he's got to figure out something to do. He's got to figure out work or money or something.
For sure. There is that market outside, and there are all kinds of shops and stalls. I suppose maybe a question of character for Cesarine. Is he kind of allowing himself to be the tourist in this moment? Like, yeah, like let me check out like these stalls and see if they have clothes. I don't know if Cesarine would have the insight to be like, oh, these clothes are like from other places that aren't at least the human province in Folia. They're going to have styles that are going to stick out a little bit more. Or would he have the wherewithal to be like, I'm going to find the local styles place and find what...
I think he is looking for... I think he's allowing himself to be a little bit of a tourist. But also in the sense of like, I am looking for something that I can afford that fits me. And if it looks cool, sick. Great.
As you go, keeping in mind that Cesarine so far has been rolling pretty well with his Intuit, I think we will kind of continue that earlier roll, whatever you got, like 17 plus. I will let you decide the beginning vibes of like what you find in this market, and then I will connect it to like, you know, places in the world. But yeah, what do you think Cesarine kind of latches on to here?
Well, Boulogne doesn't strike me as a place that had like an abundance of colorful clothing.
Not at all. There is a lot of color in Little Bay.
Yeah, so I think that would like kind of catch him, and like anything that is very brightly colored would kind of catch him immediately because he is unused to seeing it. So I think that like he would really kind of almost pass on by anything that looks like kind of ordinary and get sort of caught up in clothing that he's kind of unused to seeing and colors he's unused to seeing. I think that would really grab him.
As you're going around the stalls, you see an individual who is covered in hair from head to toe, for the most part. You see that their face is that of like an orangutan's, not wide, it has more of the feminine features. You see long hair, head to toe, except for the pads of their hands and again their face, in like a couple of glass-looking jewelry and parts of like these like glass ornaments that help bind the clothing together. All the clothing itself is just very like light, soft, kind of kind-looking blue that I would say is like similar to the color of sky, but a uncommon color to see amongst the, like I suppose a tone to see amongst the Fulian pantheon of colors, if that makes sense. Like, you know, the Safeguard have a light blue, but it is like, it's different. But yeah, you see this woman calling out to people. You see, as you kind of catch your eye, or rather your eye catches the colors of the stuff that is in front of her. The clothes, the deep purple, kind of like darker than her fur, which is also, did I mention her fur is purple? Her hair is purple?
No, you did not.
That's an important detail.
Yeah.
That's an important
question.
Mm-hmm.
How much am I a fish out of water? Like, have I ever seen anyone who looks like this?
Absolutely not.
I think that I like the way it was explained. I don't even think I've seen like a lot of like other races before.
Yeah. So like above table, I don't think this is mentioned, but like in this campaign, this is what Tucker knows though. The races in Fulia: elves, orcs, dwarves, all of general like purple kind of skin tones, with the exception of wood elves who are red. Humans, halflings, dragonborn, and kobolds. This individual is very, very different. Purple fur. Big detail. Although purple as a color is common enough in Fulia, the tones that she possesses herself and brings along with her quite different. You see this shirt with like very fine embroidery and like little glass kind of like buttons that button up the kind of like top, you know, like top third, I suppose. Looks like it would fit you a bit better. You see this woman herself is maybe like 5'3", like she's not particularly tall. How does Cesarine approach?
Well, I think he's trying hard not to stare, because that's rude, and he was taught better than that. Typical his father way. I think at first it's just like an awkward, like, I'm looking at something else, and then like shuffling a little closer, but I'm looking at something else. I'm not looking at you. He's definitely looking at her. And she's like, she look like she's running a stall, or she's just like there?
She has a stall. Like, she's like running a stall and is behind and has like a number of things around her. You see that there are things hanging from the canopy, whether it be little pieces of jewelry or ornaments or trinkets, I suppose, along with the clothing, but all like very specific in its vibe. Different from Fulia, like looking almost like Aztec.
So I think eventually he'll have shuffled over to that stall in a very inconspicuous way. It probably wasn't that inconspicuous. And he'll kind of like casually look at everything, and he'll go, he'll say, this looks very nice and expensive. And he's like kind of trying to play it off.
You see, she says, it's appropriately priced, I think, for all the way it's come.
Oh, no, I'm sure it's like definitely, I mean, it's really beautiful. So I'm sure whatever it costs, it's like super worth that, because it looks really nice.
You see that she smiles and says, are you looking to spend on something nice today, perhaps to give yourself a unique and charming look?
No. Well, maybe. I'm pretty broke. But thank you. But this is very nice.
Well, the piece like this, this silk from my homeland of Sokarun, would be a silver. But if you cannot afford that, understandable. But I'm glad to have caught your eye.
That's actually somehow not as bad as I thought it would be. Though, to be fair, given the types of things I'm up to, it'll probably just get ruined. And I feel like something like this deserves to not get ruined. So, I'm just gonna admire.
Well, I have things that are less expensive if you want little trinkets. You see that she takes a little thing off of like one of the strings of trinkets and presents like a little glass see-through crab. And you see she says, one of the interesting things about traveling around is that there's so many different kinds of creatures, people and beings in this world. But every once in a while, you see something that is quite similar. You have large purple crabs, or crabs of varying sizes in Fulia. In my homeland, we have crabs and rather many animals that are made of glass. Now, this wasn't a living crab, but it is from a similar kind of glass and as a representation. Something like this, a little keepsake, whether you wanted to wear it as a charm on a bracelet or a necklace, would be a copper.
Do you have a string I could put it on?
Of course. And she'll bring out like a little thread. Cesarine, what we say, he was like just below average height. He was like 5'7", 5'8".
Yeah, I think like 5'8".
You see that she kind of take a string, which itself is this like fine, perhaps deep purple thread as well. You see that it is almost like, gosh, what is the word? Like twine, where it's like slightly rough, as it in some spaces just like naturally comes apart, but not in a way that seems as though it will fall apart. You see it affixed to either ends, or like perhaps a little like very, very simple, weak kind of magical clip where it's just like two ends that almost like a magnet just kind of come together. And you see that she will kind of like affix the appropriate amount, put on the little end with the little crab charm there, and we'll kind of reach around to put it around your neck to see like how it sits.
I think Cesarine is feeling very like it's very pretty, and he's appreciating this moment a lot. But I think that there is also something that is like causing a little bit of dissonance in him with the crab in particular. So I think he's feeling a little strange. I think he's a little quiet, as she's doing this. When she's done, he'll take out the appropriate monies to give to her, and he will say, "I'll say thank you. It's very beautiful."
You see that she will smile. You hand her a silver. She will hand you back 9 copper, so that you have 9 silver and 9 copper. And you make little bits of conversation before kind of the two of you to depart. Or, another person just kind of like barges in and it's like, I want this. I imagine Cesarine, after browsing a bit, does find perhaps a less expensive, more local,
something a little practical.
Yeah. Where for another copper you can get a more regular shirt. Although there are like many colors to choose from that like aren't necessarily like don't necessarily change the price. Do you think like Cesarine has a color motif on him?
For the most part, he keeps the same pants. The kind of like almost bland, like blonde kind of clothing. Again, the grays and the white. But as we go, the types of colors that we see will probably change in growing increments. I don't think he has a color motif yet. I think we're getting there. I think he would also see if there's some sort of like bag he could buy, because he's like, I should carry shit. I don't want to just fucking carry.
Yeah, like a tote, or like more like a traveler's kind of bag.
Probably a little bit more travelers. He doesn't really know what he's going to be doing yet, so we're going to be prepared.
Yeah. So you see as you go around, probably just getting another kind of like more fitting, much nicer than you're used to, like quite soft, calm gray shirt. You see that it is a little like, I think Fleeing clothing, because of the heat, always has the option to like, oh, you can like untie this and kind of leave the chest out and like kind of let it breathe a lot more. Or if you're like out somewhere at night, you can kind of tighten it up and keep yourself a bit warmer. But largely, this is a very hot climate. I don't imagine the sleeves are particularly long. The only kind of contrast of color is that on the gray, where the two folds of the shirt kind of come together, is like black string or lace or whatever it would be called. I don't know terms about clothing. That will run you down another copper. And I think for a bag, probably another 3 copper to begin to store things. Is Cesarine holding on to presumably his dad's shirt?
Yes.
Cesarine, honestly, like with this shirt, even though he's maybe a little bit dirty and a little bit tired looking, looks better and more well off than he ever has in his entire life. I think while you are looking for a bag, you see that there is another person. I should note, rather, there are a lot of people your age around the market and around the town. I don't think it would occur to Cesarine. I don't think he's the kind of like person who connects these things yet, that, oh, your school year ended and so did every other school year, at the very least, across the human province. So like a lot of people who are like in those like 16, 17, 18 are starting their like adult lives, getting ready to like go to higher education, getting ready to rather move cities or towns. How does Cesarine kind of like reconcile himself amongst his peers in this sense? Also knowing that like some of these people, although you haven't seen any yet, would probably be like people you went to school with who left Fimmel and are like, time to go to mainland to do something better with my life.
I think that Cesarine has started to hit a level of full like dissonance. I don't think he feels like he has anything in common with people his age anymore. I think that he always felt a little bit like that, but having a kind of a closer friend and being acquainted with some other people who he went to school with, it wasn't as extreme, that feeling. But at this point, he feels as though there is a gap. He's having his little nobody understands me moment. I don't think it's as like present like that, a specific thought as is present. It's not like a nobody gets me right when he sees him, but there is like a severe lapse of, feeling a relation to these people, or like he can is on the same level as any of them. Not even in a I'm better than them way, or even in maybe a jealousy way or anything like that, but perhaps more in these are all regular people my age who have things that they're looking forward to and things that they're doing and directions to go. And I am just here figuring it out.
So as you were in this kind of like traveler's shop, I suppose, you see that there are many different like bags on the walls. A lot of them, like it is apparent to Cesarine, I think, with a at times more discerning eye, that they are beginning to like in the beginning process of selling out of their stock, as many people are like, it's time to get my traveler's bag and like go somewhere, like you see though that there is an orc, deep purple skin, easily like 6'8", just built the fuck out. But like very like very smooth skin, very young looking from what you can tell. You see that he's also looking at the bags. There's like only a couple that are like large enough for his frame or for what someone like his size would carry. You see that the two of you are kind of like close enough to make a conversation, but not so close that you are forced into it. But you see he's kind of taking notice, and in a very like friendly kind of way, just kind of like points at you and goes, "Iron Point?
Fucking what?
Or are you beachside?"
And he says that.
You see, he goes, we didn't go to the same school, did we?
No, I'm here. No.
Are you out of town?
Yes.
Sorry. There's a lot of us around, but that's fine. I'm sorry. Never mind. He'll kind of like take a bag off the wall and kind of like begin to inspect it. Still like very close to each other.
Like we're close enough that it's like kind of awkward now.
Yeah.
Cesarine almost wants to. I don't know what he wants. I don't think he knows what he wants here. And I don't think I think for a minute he just stands there really awkwardly. Like he almost forgot what he was doing here.
I think it's also notable, like, this is the biggest person you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like his arms are the size of like almost your head. I think it's like amongst the tension of just like, oh, someone make conversation. I kind of shut that down accidentally. And now also I'm taking note of this person. It's hard not to like look at them.
Yeah, it's very much giving that. I think he maybe like opens his mouth and then shuts it a couple times, like he's gonna say something and then decides against it.
As you do so, you see he looks over, thinking that you're gonna say something, and then when you don't say anything, he takes a moment and goes, "Are you headed somewhere or?"
No. I don't even really know where there is to head, so, you know.
What do you mean?
I don't really know anything about this place. I got here today. I didn't intend to come here. I think he just starts being like really oddly honest about his situation. He's like, what do I have to lose? And he says, I got here today. I didn't mean to come here today. I didn't really mean to go anywhere in particular. I just ended up here and now I'm here. So I'll figure something out eventually. Do you know of a place with a bed? Like an inn?
You see he's of course. Like now both of you kind of like bags in hand, but now like stuck in conversation. You see he says, well, okay, so if you're looking for places to stay, there are 3. There's the Grand Allies, the Way Home, but there's those are both maybe a little for working adults, people who have I don't want to presume anything, but also I have taken notice that you don't have any shoes on right now.
No, yeah, that's totally fair. You're right, I don't.
So the White Lies Down is maybe where you should go.
Cool, thank you. Where is it?
He'll give you directions, and then I think when he finishes giving you the directions, I don't think there's any like there have been like tensions, like awkward young tensions between different characters with some kind of like haughty romantic vibes to them. I don't think that is here. I think this is just like a tall, nice, awkward person, as like many people will be. But I think when he finishes kind of giving you directions, you see, whatever nod or acknowledgement, he goes, I'm headed up north.
What's north?
I guess like ancestry. I'm like a couple generations removed from the other orcs, and so I've never seen. So I'm gonna head up to Bridier, and then I'm gonna see if I can get through the Nexus. But then otherwise, I'm just gonna, if I can't, I'm just gonna travel all the way. So that's, and he'll kind of hold up the backpack to be like, to finish his sentence for him, to like, that's why I'm getting this.
That's a long walk.
Yeah, I have good legs, so. But
I can see that.
I don't have
I
to.
mean,
Yeah, in the way that like a gym bro kind of like loves the compliment. You see, he like lifts up a leg and like flexes his thigh, and it's like so like he's wearing like shorts or whatever. It's huge. This dude could kick down a wall. This dude could kick your father's ass.
Cesarine will watch him do that with like a weird feeling. And he'll say, yeah, that's okay. So you get up there, and then you explore and get back in touch with your ancestry, and then and then what?
You see, kind of stares blankly for a moment. He just kind of goes, and I think in a way that you're young and you do not understand how life happens, where realistically he's going to go there, he's going to find something that probably pulls him in and changes his life, and he's going to live there. But I think he goes, I guess, come back, I guess.
That's fair. All right. So you're just gonna like camp out and? Well, I mean, what do people do? Hunt? Some people just find animals and.
Well, it's very it's like very giving there.
Oh,
they worship life.
I do know. Yes. Sorry. I've heard about that.
Yeah. So apparently there's a lot of hospitality. It's like there's like a little bit that you find here in the human province. Like I've gone to like the Cloud Tower once, and some person, their family, like let me stay with them. It was very nice. But like they didn't like feed me or anything. Which apparently like you go to the orcs and they feed you and cook for you and stuff. Like wherever you go,
they just do that for free.
Yeah.
I think for Cesarine especially, the idea that people would just do that for you is like he doesn't get. He's confused. He doesn't. There has to be a catch. What's the fucking catch? So he just kind of like blinks a few times and goes, and that's worked out for them. They make that work.
You see, he kind of just like shrugs, like you're framing it in a way that's like it does seem weird, doesn't it? When your structure of governance and worship, which are tied, involve the concepts of justice, which is an act of retribution that extends out into a couple of different ways. One, it admittedly is very kind, which is the safeguard, which is like the active care of community. But then another facet of that is the Legion, which is just like the slippery slope to fascism. It is absolutely very hard to be like, people are actually have a profound structure of community and kindness that does work for them because that is enforced by the powers within the world. So you see he not comprehending any of that goes, I mean, I guess they have to have like a lot of guards around or something. And like, I guess those like keepers of balance work very hard.
Well, they've been around for a long time, so whatever they're doing it's working out. Anyways, thanks for the directions. I appreciate it. Good luck on your trip north.
Yeah, thank you. And you see both of you turn to go buy the bag.
The same direction.
The awkward interaction continues, but off camera. He does eventually introduce himself as Berdain, Berdain. What does Cesarine do? Actually, sorry, shut the fuck up. I'm going to continue to talk.
Okay.
You have your backpack. You have your dad's shirt in your backpack. You have your shirt. It's not been 4 hours yet.
I should buy another pair of underwear.
Yeah.
That's something I would do.
You can get like probably 3 for another copper.
Sick. Putting that in my bag. More underwear.
You see as you exit this store, which is, I think, a little away from the stalls, you can see above some of the buildings in that central market that you were, there was a statue that I think as you were in there was kind of obfuscated by like everything around it. But as you were separate from it, you see it kind of like standing over. You see it is of you can kind of see, I think, the head and an arm raised up, which appears to be human from what you can tell, that is kind of like holding some kind of cloth. It is like a bronze-like material, or gold or something, that doesn't see much tarnishing. And you see that honestly, the cloth that it holds does look actually like cloth, like a red cloth, and does move, but the statue is otherwise like a metal. You see amongst this slightly tighter street, there is an opening, and you see, I think, away from the statue on the opposite end, so further away from the market, the Odral.
No, motherfucker. Is it doing the thing where it looks vaguely beckoning?
It stands well postured and vaguely beckoning.
I think Cesarine is instantly annoyed. I think he stands there looking at it, and he's like kind of fighting with himself in his head.
I think as you're standing there, just kind of like slightly outside the door, as Bourdain is also exiting and kind of like fiddling with his backpack, does not see you and nearly like knocks you down, and goes, "Oh, sorry," and like grabs you by the shoulder before you completely fall, and kind of like apologizes a couple more times as he walks back towards the market. But you see that the Odral is gone, but its sign, its direction is still present, obviously.
It wouldn't happen to be in the direction, in the general way I need to go to get to somewhere. No, it's not.
I think you would, to get there, you would like take so there's a couple of alleys along the street, and you take like the nearest turn on one of the alleys, kind of a parallel to the market, and further what I guess would be north in the city, where it is beckoning westward.
Cesarine is going to ignore it, and he's going to head in the direction of the inn.
As you head towards this inn, I think you do see it one more time on another street, generally west. Kind of like as the terrain slightly shifts and there's a bit of a hill, you see it like on a much quieter, emptier street, standing at the top of a hill. I think in this instance, as you cross through like your little streets and see it kind of catching its eyes for another moment, I have a thing I'm going to interject here, as tends to happen with the Odral, but what is Cesarine's feeling the second time he sees it?
I think he's feeling like he's about to yell up the hill like a crazy person.
You see as you make eye contact with it again and feel that frustration build from within, you see it is kind of like right next to a bit of like a cafe type building with a patio, and you see that some like oldish man comes out with a broom and goes, "Hey, get out, get," just like it's random animal should not be in the street. You see it looks over and then like bolts away.
Cesarine goes, "Yeah, get."
Out loud.
He crosses his arms and he keeps going. I think there's a part of him that is still like almost like wants to follow, It still is ultimately the thing that there was that moment of catharsis that he associates with the Odral, but there is also now some negative feelings associated as well, and it's causing some conflicting feelings within him. However, the conflicting feelings are really fresh at the moment, like the bad ones. So he's like, I'm going to keep going. I ain't going to ruin my life.
This city is fairly vast, and if not for like very distinctive shifting terrain that almost gives a like sense of progress as you walk through the city. Like it generally goes a little bit upwards. And so as you continue upwards, you can kind of look down upon the city and give reference. But there are also like a number of buildings that like rise up, which is to say like there's an outer ring that are like 2 stories and then 3 stories and then 4 stories and then kind of like a tower that are really helpful reference points. And you see that there's a feeling amongst the city that's like, oh, it's actually very well planned to navigate. And very quickly there's a sense of like familiarity, which I think Cesarine, like, not that maybe he's seeking to get comfortable, but it's like, oh, like, my town really sucked, and this place is like, it feels better to be in. And whether that's like just because there is a larger group of people that are more interesting, as well as like on average much kinder, even though people in the human province, if you were to compare them to like some of the other provinces within Folia, are not amongst the kindest compared to Bellon, which is filled with the politics and ideologies of the Legion. Again, slippery slope to fascism. A much nicer place, a much, at the very least, less brutal place. As you see like the different kinds of guards patrolling between Legion and Safeguard, and the occasional Arcane Order, you see that even the Legion like don't seem prone to like brutalizing people here, and very rarely act where like people get their beatings in Bellon. But you eventually get to the White Lies Down Inn, which is in a bit of a like darker part of the town. Like there's a lot of like shade and shadow here. Some of the town almost like looms over the like this part in this kind of like northern end. And you see that the White Lies Down is almost like, it feels almost as if the building kind of like leans forward, almost like a cloaked man with his shoulders up, like hiding some kind of thing within the cloak. It feels like seedy. You see that there are like a couple of people who are wearing like armor, like leather armor, or like little like things are like armed around here, like mercenary type, which I don't think that Cesarine has seen proper mercenaries, but you can put together quickly enough that these people are like, have danger. As you enter the tavern, you see it, or the inn rather, you see it's a quiet kind of front room. There are a couple of tables. There are like stains on the wood. It smells very musty in here. You see that there is this just like, the best way I think to describe him. Have you watched House of the Dragon?
For the first season, yes.
You know how the king just gets worse and worse each episode? Yeah. He's like episode like 5 or 6. He's like missing an arm and like missing an eye.
It's just like Joe Biden.
Yeah, he's so Joe Biden's manning the folks, I'm doing a genocide, folks. Can't help myself. You see that he's just stabbing a baby on a counter. No, but you see a unkindly looking individual with like 2 kind of like servers, I suppose. I wouldn't say that they are barmaids because one of them is not a woman, so I don't know if barmister. I don't know what it is, but
he could be called a barmaid if he wants to be called a barmaid.
I don't think specifically. I don't think this individual is. See that they are both human. Most of the people who like are working or like long term tend towards human more than they do the other races, but they are around. But you see both of them are human, and you see that both of them are kind of like very intentionally and purposely hot. It's like the very classic of like, how low can I get the cut of this shirt for both of them?
Anything for tips.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's definitely like a draw of this inn. You see that there are a couple of like creepy-ish looking individuals who are like, it's, you know, this is like not super long into the day, and people are either already passed out or have yet to wake up from last night at the table. There doesn't seem to be like much care to the maintenance of this place. There is like a table just with a empty plate, that the plate was cleaned off well enough that it's like, we'll get it later. And then you see that there are stairs kind of like past the bar top that go to what you would assume to be rooms. There are some other figures in here as well, but we'll not worry about those right now. What's Cesarine doing as he enters?
Well, it is very clear to me that Bourdain sent me to the hood. Cesarine is going to muster as much confidence as he can, although I think he feels a little intimidated by the hot people. I don't think he's used to that, and I think it's scary. Especially given his age, and that his sexuality is largely unexplored. So he feels strange. He's going to try to ignore it. And he's gonna march up to the bar, to where that, I think you said there was the decrepit man, Joe Biden,
the one notably not hot.
Yeah, and he's just gonna, excuse me.
I'm gonna mix the Joe Biden and the French accent here. What do you want? I have no more work.
No, I just want a room for the night.
For the night? Mm-hmm. One night.
One night.
Make a little charm. I know the skill you have. 1d20 plus 1d4.
12 plus 3, 15. 15.
He will look you up and down in a way that I think his eyes generally squinted, and then when he takes a look, he like really like opens it, just like a dirty eye, just like you can't clean it, but it feels like you should try. Mm-hmm. You see that he gives just like a good like look up and down as he decides whether or not to give you like the actual price, before he just kind of deflates and goes, that'll be 3 copper.
Okay, here. He'll slide it forward.
Okay. He'll take the copper and then like kind of open the drawer and dig for a key and look at it, really contemplate it for a second before putting it down and saying, you can find it.
Yeah, I can find it.
You see that there is a half-elven man. Looks relatively young. His skin is dark-ish, but almost has this like ethereal sheen to it. And almost at times, like depending on how the light catches it, like changes color. You see his eyes are a dull gold. As you go up the stairs into the hallway, in which there's like maybe 8 rooms or so, none of which are apparent which one this key belongs to, you'll hear coming up the steps behind you this figure. And as he reaches the top of the steps, how quickly does Cesarine begin to try doors?
I think there's a moment of like awkward pause and like looking around and realizing that he's just going to have to try this key on every door. And then like maybe a bit of a sigh, and then he'll try doors. I don't think it's like an immediate thing.
So I think this figure, when you pause, will give the figure time to come up the stairs almost behind you at the end of the hall. I think in a way that, again, you know when like a kid, or not even a kid, but like a teenager or a young person does not realize they are taking up space where they should not. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe don't stand in front of the subway doors, idiot. Like,
they haven't quite learned.
Yeah. I think it's like that, where it's like as he comes
he's
up,
just standing in the middle of the fucking hallway.
Yeah. As he comes up, like you are in his way of the stairs, and I think Cesarine probably fully like heard the person, but has not made the connection in his mind to step out of the way. I think this figure will say, "You seem like the kind of person who needs something to do."
Cesarine will kind of like whip his head around. Like, again, he had kind of heard somebody come up, but it hadn't really clicked, so he feels kind of taken off guard. But when he thinks about it for a second, he's like, oh yeah, somebody did come up here. And he turns his head. You kind of take a full look at this person. And
you see that they're about maybe like 5'11s, like not too much taller than you. You see that they are clean-shaven face if their face can't even grow hair, looking down at you in a way that I don't think anyone has looked at you before. Not in a way that's particularly like, I think there's a connotation in that phrasing which sounds a little bit horny. I don't think it's explicitly horny. I don't think it's explicitly not, though. I think there is a tone to it which is like, I'm going to give you something to do, but there's also a tone that is like a little bit predatory that I don't think Cesarine picks up on.
Cesarine looks over, takes this look at him, and then kind of like looks down at his shoeless feet. And at the same time that he's like looking from his feet back at this person, he'll say, really? Because I think I look like someone who needs money. Though I suppose those things sometimes are in tandem.
You see he will look at the key in your hand. You see that he will begin to move past you, but in a way that he like doesn't step all the way around you, kind of like moves through you in the politest way he can. Where it's like his chest does kind of like get close to you. And you see he will go up to one of the doors and look and just kind of like knock and wait. And someone will kind of answer. And then someone will call out and he'll say, never mind. And we'll do that with like 2 other doors before he begins to get to the doors that are empty, kind of teaching you like, you don't need to make a fool of yourself. And as you find your room, I think perhaps in the process of this, he'll begin to make the conversation. You aren't from the city, I take it?
No, I'm not.
How'd you end up all the way here without any shoes?
I jumped onto a moving boat.
Determined.
Shoes. I guess.
You see at this point, knocks on the door, no one responds. Assuming you go to turn the key, it works this time. And the door opens to see kind of like a dingy room. I think he'll just kind of like lean on the frame a little bit outside of the room as to not impose himself into your space yet. You see, he says, you seem responsible enough. Like you'd fight for what you want. And maybe what you need.
Cesarine will kind of like just gently toss his bag at the foot of the bed and just stay standing and turn towards this figure and say, I think those are all correct assumptions. I'm assuming that they're leading to something.
My name's Cato. What are you good at?
Following directions, mostly.
Interesting. I think he will now step into the room in a way that, like, again, I don't think Cesarine understands. Because this person's not being unkind, right? Like, I think Cesarine's used to people being brutish and having a vibe of, like, they're going to rock him. I don't think Cesarine has interacted with someone who's, like, quite sinister as an individual like this. He steps into the room close to you. Just steps over you a little bit. And you see he will reach into his pocket, or one of his pouches on his belt, I should say. When something goes behind someone, or when someone like kind of reaches, not abruptly, but like movements of the arms in a way that might be familiar or echo like a cock of the fist. Does Cesarine kind of like have a reaction to those kinds of things?
I think that depends. This is going to sound weird, but I'm pulling this from personal experience. I think that like the kind of instant fear response internally is very much there. But I think at that point, Cesarine would have gotten it together, like over so many years, that he moving or flinching or moving away from it, having a visible reaction, shying away from it at all, is only going to result in more. And that, like on a subconscious level, would keep him still, or at least from flinching, although he might be watching the movements carefully.
I think that a couple of things happen. The arm moves. I think Cesarine has that reaction, but it is a little more surprising than usual because of the way that this person moves. I think he probably still maintains like his posture, but his eyes dart to what the hand is doing, and he will watch your eyes dart, and I think pick up on the attentiveness. And as Cesarine is not looking, a smirk will come across his face as he's found like the first little tick of yours. And as his hand comes out of the pouch, he's holding a silver and hands it to you and says, "A first investment." Do you immediately go to take the silver?
No.
He will go and grab your arm in a very like sly way, like in a way that does not very well mirror your father. Your father's very forceful and violent. This person is very like smooth and snake-like, and will kind of grab your arm so that your hand is presented and place the silver in, and look you in the eye as he is like reading through Cesarine. What do you think this person sees in Cesarine in this moment?
I think that this person sees a young man who is ultimately very lost, but very willing and determined to figure it out, how to correct that almost. Not so much in a soul-searching way, more in a, I guess like he said, determined. There is a bit of I have something to prove.
Yeah.
And I think that there has always been that sense for Cesarine, and he thought by this Legion shit and the White Knight and all that with Clarion and his father that he would be proving it, and very quickly came to the conclusion that that is not the thing he wanted to prove. That was not what he was looking for. There is probably something that this individual senses in Cesarine that is a bit of a potential to take it maybe even too far in attempts to prove this thing to his father, who is not here and not watching, but also I think a little bit to himself in his father's name.
Seeing that element of being ready to take things too far, a smug sense of satisfaction kind of washes over this individual. And without having asked your name, but knowing the exact room that you were staying, will let go of the coin, let go of your arm, look at you for another moment in a way that is like, it's just bad, is not good, and walks out.
I think Cesarine looks at the coin. I think he feels a little wrong. I don't think his... I think, the conditioning makes him like, I can't take handouts, don't give me shit. And then maybe another wrong feeling, but it's something he can't place or maybe even associate with this individual. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like you said, if somebody has ill intentions for him, it's in his face. Mm-hmm. That is what he is used to. But regardless, he'll pocket it and he'll shut the door. And at that point, he is just waiting for the appropriate time to go and get his goddamn shoes.
This has been Cesarine's Saga, with Tucker Patterson as Cesarine and Jesse T. William as the guide. This story uses the Legacy and Saga TTRPG designed by Jesse T. William. It is edited and scored also by Jesse T. William.